What's up, friends? Hello, it is the 18th of April. So let's kind of do a little market update. We're finally kind of getting some confirmations and want to zoom in here and take a look at that. So we wouldn't do that. We are going to we're going to jump straight into kind of just where we're at on the charts. Obviously, it broke out of here. And so mainly what I've been watching is a breakout to the top or a confirmation of the bottom. So obviously, as you can see, really with this giant wick down here, there's a ton of liquidity here that hasn't been filled. I like to see at least 50% of this wick kind of get filled. And then pretty much anything over that's going to be like a definite, like, all right, we're retesting it. So it's most likely to kind of revisit this, price action and stuff. So anyway, we had it here, and this could have been really our first confirmation, but there would have to be so much buying power. And this candle happens to be a reversal candle, which is just, what a fake out this was. But this is a pretty bullish sign. It's like, hey, we're off to the races here. But pretty much on this one, when it got sold off up here, we just see it over and over and over again. And this is how you know we're pretty much going to have a sell-off, is you just have all these sellers up here that are just selling everything that gets bought. And so you really can't climb up the ladder, so to speak. And really we have to close above this for it to really be a true breakout. And so this was pretty bearish. So it kind of sold off. We're like, all right, kind of figured that would happen. Are we going to go for the M here for on the way down, or is this a double bottom? What is it? And so we kind of just have to wait. And so we waited, really climbed back up. We definitely got to close above here, which is really what you want. But interestingly, when I look at these candles, what's crazy is this close. And I mean, like, if I literally go down to like the hourly chart and stuff, you can see it. But literally we had this price action. It was doing great, but it ended up closing, which is the top of this right here. It closed below the top here. And that's like a whop, whop, not enough, really not enough traction. Confirmation for this would be closing above whatever this previous high was, which would be this one. So this candle happened, this is a reversal candle. And so typically it's going to rebound. So if you're going to sell, we wanted to sell on this candle, and that's kind of how that works. You can obviously see how it sold off. And so anyway, yesterday we finally got this big wick down, really filled out pretty much most of this, kind of depending on the chart you look at. It's a little closer sometimes. I know that on the, I think it's the futures chart. Yeah, on the futures chart, it looks even more like we actually closed, or we actually went below over here. But, who's dabbling in futures? Probably nobody listening to this. Anyway, so we got that filled. This kind of liquidity pool is pretty dang filled. And we're obviously seeing a reversal because of it. So it could, I guess, in theory, come down and truly fill it, but that's like a little extra. If we do that, I would say this is the line in the sand to hold regardless. If it plays around in this area, great. It's most likely to go up. Like this is actually very bullish in my opinion. This is a bull flag, meaning that it goes up and then it just stays sideways. And so typically what's going to happen now is it's going to consolidate until it's freaking done doing so. And then once it does, it will take off to the next, just like we saw really back over here. Hey, we take off. Hey, we move sideways. This was a breakout, but that was actually kind of a fake out. You can see on that candle right there. If I remember right, there was January 10th. This was kind of the ETF stuff. I don't know. I'd have to go look at a calendar and Google that stuff. But lots of not manipulation, but lots of really a lot of volume in here to make this happen. And then to really fake out, anybody who's playing the breakout game, meaning that if it breaks down, typically once you get a close here, which this was, you'd want to sell, and you're going to sell. If you're shorting it, you're going to sell when this candle pumps back up, you sell here and then it sells off. But that didn't happen. It ended up buying back up a little bit, closed a little bit higher, closed a little bit higher, and then obviously it took back off. So anyway, that's what it's going to do. Same thing here. Goes up, really consolidates pretty much sideways, and then bam, takes off. So kind of really just a little bit longer of an approach. Interestingly, again, this is the line in the sand to hold the bottom of this wick right here. So 59.3. If we get a close below this, we are going to be going down. We got to go down. Here's kind of some really minor. I consider this to be pretty minor, like support. This is going to be your more major support in the 45 range. or whatever that ends up being. I'd have to like zoom in. But what I wanted to show you is kind of the bigger picture of really where does it go? Like there's really no reason it would, like 75 is just not even like a challenge. There's nothing that would stop it from that based upon how much price action this is. And so 75 is like a pretty clear target. I thought we were actually going back up there when we did this. But I've been keeping my eye on this green line where you're just connecting these two data points, and 2 data points is just not very much at all, but hey, it is what it is. But in the event that happens, you know, this is going to go up and it's going to touch this green line, really depending on where that happens, right? The longer it consolidates, the more likely it'll be over here, kind of a thing. But let's just say kind of like middle of May or June. Here we go. Let's just pick like here-ish. So let's just say it goes up. Okay, cool. That's 87,000. So that kind of gives you an idea of, I could totally see some rejection right around here, somewhere right around here, just a little bit of a pullback, at least maybe up to 30% before it, you know, ultimately makes its way up to whatever it's going to make its way up during this bull run, which will be, you know, over here somewhere. So that's kind of what's going on with that. Let me see if I can zoom through some other things real quick. So this is the dominance chart of Bitcoin. Interesting thing about dominance is you've got some pretty serious resistance right here that hasn't been met. We're pretty freaking close. Let's zoom in. Obviously, definitely had major Bitcoin dominance right here. I don't know if that's enough to kind of cause it to go down. I feel like maybe a little bit more of a pump up into the high 50% range, meaning that all the money that's in crypto total, you know, like right now, 55.54% of all the money in crypto is in Bitcoin. This is the Bitcoin dominance. And so this is just saying out of all the money, it's like saying all the money in the stock market, you know, the top 7 stocks hold the majority of it, kind of a thing is what it's saying. And so you can actually play this chart the exact same way, just like anything else, because again, every chart is simply a visual representation of the human psychology, and it is unbelievably repetitive, and that's really what kind of makes it predictable. So really kind of held in our channel here. We finally broke out. This is pretty much our next major resistance after this. Whew, I don't know if we're going to get back up there. But we'll definitely play around this area for a little bit. I expect it to come back down. When it comes back down, that's when altcoin season is. That's when all those alts start to run like crazy. It's going to be so great for everybody who's in an altcoin, kind of a thing. Everybody and their mom's going to be talking about it. The grocery store clerk's going to tell you about getting this meme coin and all this other stuff, and that might be a good reason to sell. So that's that one. We already looked at that one. Let's see what's going on with the Dixie here. So the dollar index, I mean, we've just played with this support and resistance level forever. Obviously, we were expecting, this drawing is from, I guess, whatever, late last year. But basically a breakout, you come down, you confirm right here on support. So basically it goes up, it bounces down, and it's going to bounce back up. But it really just couldn't hold. So for whatever reason, again, you can go look at kind of what's happening. But same thing. Over here, we've broken above. Now we're coming back down. What I want to see here is, are we going to stay above it? If we stay above it for, you know, probably, I would say a week or two, that's where you're going to really see it bounce up, and you're going to be like, all right, cool, we're good to go. It's going to go back up. And again, with the dollars going up, typically assets are going down. So if this is a fake out and it's really just breaking down, as you see here, we have highs, then we have lower highs. This could be potentially even a lower high. And it's actually this same thing right here. So it's going to break down until it can't break down anymore, and then it'll go back up. So that's that. Let me see here. What else? Should we look at Ethereum? Why not? I haven't looked at Ethereum in forever. All right, Ethereum. So definitely have this is a perpetual futures contract, but that's okay. Either way, got our channel here. We broke down, we held, so it breaks down, it comes back up, it tests it as resistance, and then it just decides to break through. So now we're in this channel again. Obviously, you can just buy the bottom and you sell the tops. That's the easiest way to play this. Buy here, sell here, buy here, sell here, and you just keep going. Now we've broken out of this channel. We've come back down. Now we're testing it as support, and it will probably chop on top of here. And then if everything's going long, it will just continue to break up. So this is pretty much primed for, you know, again, it's ready to go up. Same thing with, you know, well, I don't have Bitcoin drawn, but if I go and draw a bunch of lines, I bet I don't see any off of the crazy look here, but again, I'm less concerned about what trends and channels Bitcoin is in, because Bitcoin, as you know, my thoughts are it's the ocean. So when the tide goes up, it raises all the ships. And so all I care about is it breaking out of this box. I don't care what it does in the box. I don't care what it does on top of the box. But if it starts to close down here, it's a shorting game, and I'm gonna re-enter, as we reach some minor support as well as some major support. So one of the concepts right now that I've been asked probably the most about is the Bitcoin halving baked in, because the Bitcoin halving is happening pretty much, it'll be tomorrow, which is every 210,000 blocks that are mined on the blockchain creates a halving, and the reward structure changes for those who mine it. So typically when that happens, let me see if I've got any lines on this one. Oop, I do. Let's go weekly. Negative. Darn it. All right, let me see if I have it. Boy, that'd be super convenient if I did. No. Here we go. Dude. On it. All right. So literally each one of these white lines is definitely going to be the halving. So for example, let me go back to daily. Let me move this guy over, and we'll throw him there. Okay, so that's the next halving. So let's take a look at what happens in the halvings every time they happen. So, oh boy, we're gonna have to zoom in for this one because this is forever ago. All right, so this is the first halving, right? Halving happens, nothing happens, we start to get some pumps, but really 367 days later, hey, we reach all-time highs. Then it's gonna sell off for a year. In this case, it fell by 84%. Not a lot of liquidity in here, so that's not the best example in the world, in my opinion. I will get people argue all the time about that. I just don't think it's that serious. There weren't enough players in the game. Halving happens right here. What happens? Nothing for a while. And then bam, 526 days later. What happens after this halving? Boom, 548 days later. Cool. This fell 83% after the all-time highs, which is 365 days later. And then you kind of come over here and you look at this one. This one fell 77%, 367 days later. Are you seeing some similarities here? Hey, here's our growth pattern. Here's our growth pattern. What do we think is going to happen here? And then here is our sell-off, 360-something days, 370-something days. Again, kind of in that ballpark. But you can see really what happens. The patterns are pretty dang similar. After this, you're going to come down. You're going to pump back up. This is called a bull trap or a bear trap, depending on which side you're talking about here. And then it sells off. Then you're going to have this trough down here before it starts over. Oddly enough, what do we have? We have it come down. It comes back up. It comes down. You have our little trough here. And then it just, bam, takes off. Okay, all that's really fine and dandy. This really created all-time new highs, though, before the halving, which is kind of the first time that's really ever happened. That didn't happen in the past here, and it definitely didn't happen over there. So this is pretty interesting to me, but I think a lot of it kind of has to do with institutional players coming into the game. Although they don't move the market that much, they do provide a lot more volatility as well as liquidity to the market. Depending on how long I drew this, 513, the next halving, April 17, 2020, it's 513 days. Cool. So 515 days is from the low to the next halving. So if you come over here, dude, look at this is just ridiculous. So literally 542 days to the next halving. From the low to the next halving is 542 days. 513 days from the low to the next halving. And then my guess, I guess when I drew this was 513 days, which probably would have been somewhere right in here, because I typically map things that weren't at the bottom, because who knows? I have emotions too. And I'm like, I want to make sure I'm not wrong. So here we are once again, 513 days. It's actually going to be, let's change it, guys, just for funsies. 515 days. April 19th is 515 days. Yay. See, this is what makes this stuff, when I say predictable, it's not predictable, but boy, you can get close. You know what I mean? And so there you go. So there's the Bitcoin halving. And then what happens at the Bitcoin halving? I still think it's going to do nothing. And to bring it back to the whole reason I came over here, it is that I really kind of think that it's baked in. And a lot of people are saying that it's baked in, just meaning that a lot of the liquidity that was going to go in, everybody's talking about the halving and what it does. And it's a misunderstanding about kind of the way that works. People think the halving happens and then bam, it takes off and creates this, like it does. But as you can see, it's typically 18 months later or so. And so that's kind of the idea here is I think that because we created this all-time high, I'm actually expecting a sell-off really kind of down to this mid 40 range, as low as the 30 range, although I don't think that's really as likely, but dude, it could totally happen. We have confirmation, or we would have confirmation here. We'd be hitting this level right here, this level right here. Here's more support and resistance. Here's more support and resistance. Here's more support and resistance. I mean, that is just a lot of support for this. And it shows that 30,000 is going to be like pretty unbreakable. Not unbreakable, but it's really strong support, meaning that if we do come down, we're definitely getting a bounce on it. So that is what I got for today. Hopefully that helps. Kind of just shows you really where we're at. Just what a crazy run of green candles. And these are weekly candles, right? I've talked about that in other videos, but weekly candles going up. Wow, that's a lot. Really a lot of wicks here. That means there's a lot of arguing back and forth. Should we buy? Should we sell? Another reason that, I think that when it does move, it's going to have a pretty explosive move. If it goes up, it's going to be up. 85,000 range, I think is pretty, very understandable. But I think we're going to get a more slow growth path to that. And then we'll have your parabolic runs like we've seen in the past with this, or even back in 2017 where you have just absolute madness right here, the boom. But there are something like, I don't know, there's 21 million Bitcoins and there's like 60 million millionaires or something like that. And so not everybody can even own a full Bitcoin. Not even every millionaire can own one full Bitcoin. And so it's one of those things of supply and demand. It's just going to continue to grow, continue to go up. I don't really know if it's going to stop at 100,000, 200,000. There is no way to know until we start to really create some ridiculous trends. Then it's just going to be pure speculation. But just like we got in by dollar cost averaging, you can go look at all my videos. I say anything under, really what that all-time high would be. Or the 200 moving day average was 22,000. Anything under that's a good buy. Obviously, anything underneath the all-time high is definitely going to be a good buy. You can't go wrong. So we were able to accumulate down in here, which is great. It'll be the same thing in 2024, 2025. We'll see a lot of action. And then 26, 27, we'll see a lot of opportunity to obviously dollar cost average, kind of back into these things and increase our, supply of the appreciating asset. So that's what I got for you today. Keep your eye on Bitcoin. We are definitely moving. Again, the main thing that I'm looking at is this guy right here on the daily chart. I want to see a close below this, or I really want to stay above it. And based upon how things are looking right now, I think we're going to stay sideways for a little bit. But that could change depending on, how volatile these next candles are. But as of right now, we're probably going to revisit this $70,000 range, at least uno mas, and go from there. So hope everybody's having a great day. Go kick some butt, and definitely keep your eye on the clock. I definitely have it up. Let me go pull it up here real quick. What are you? Here we go. Bitcoin halving. There you go. So you can literally see, you can just go like Google Bitcoin halving countdown. It'll tell you. Now, what's always confusing is they all say different times, and it's because depending on what time zone the place is in. But this is, at 840,000 blocks, which is 210,000 blocks every 4 years. That gets us a new halving. So you can see that we are, I can't do the math. What is that? I don't know. Not many, right? Really like less than 200 blocks away from hitting this, this block height, and that is obviously what creates the halving. Oh, you can read about it right here. How convenient is that? There you go. I'm sure that's not a surprise. Anyway, you can Google this stuff. It's pretty simple. Anyway, have a great day. Look forward to the future, and we'll talk soon. See you.